Skoda is now well established in the upper part of the mid-sized SUV segment with its Kodiaq, a model usefully upgraded in this second generation form with a smarter look both inside and out and some more efficient engines. You can still have 7 seats and 4-wheel drive, and whatever spec is chosen, you still get class-leading passenger space and a range of distinctly Skoda simply clever features. It can tow up to 2.5 tons too, and has one of the largest boots in the class. In other words, you'd have to take this contender seriously.
Like the Superb, this Kodiaq now rides on an evolved MLB Evo platform, which allows for a wider range of electrified engine options. The mainstream powertrain options both develop 150 PS and make 62 miles an hour in just under 10 seconds en route to just under 130 miles an hour, but are quite different. There's a mild hybrid 1.5 E-Tech petrol unit, which has the VW Group's 48-volt mild hybrid tech, or if you're more old school, a 2-litre TDI diesel, which in volume 150 PS form has nearly 50% more pulling power, 360 newton meters of it, hence a 2,000 kilogram brake towing weight figure that's 200 kilograms more than the petrol model, but 200 kilograms less than the equivalent Superb. This diesel can also be had in the uprated 193 PS form we're trying here, in which guise it's mated to a 4-wheel drive system and offers a 2,400 kilo towing weight. Not yet launched at the time of our test, but expected to be added later, was a top VRS variant with a conventional 2-litre TSI turbo power plant. Probably the biggest news on the engine front is the availability for the first time on a Kodiaq of a PHEV drivetrain, the IV plug-in hybrid model in question, using a sizable 25.7 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which is supposed to be able to offer EV driving range of up to 60 miles. The engine that cuts in at the end of all that is broadly the same 1.5 litre TSI 4-cylinder unit as by the mild hybrid model, but with the PHEV, this 150 PS power plant's mated to 6 rather than 7-speed auto transmission and works in concert with an 118 PS electric motor, contributing to a total system output of 204 PS. Which doesn't sound a great deal to propel over 1.9 tons of Czech real estate. Still, you won't notice the disparity unless you find yourself driving it in the kind of manner a typical Kodiaq owner probably never would. And the drive stats are competitive enough, 62 miles an hour in 8.4 seconds en route to 130. Replicating those stats would involve selecting sport mode rather than hybrid or normal. You'd recognise this as a Kodiaq. The styling approach here is intentionally evolutionary. At the same time, though, head of design Oliver Stefani and his team wanted to move the look of this car on, incorporating the first elements of the brand's new so-called modern solid design language, further developed with the smaller L-Rock EV and first previewed by the company's trend-setting Vision 7S concept car. Get inside and it certainly seems a generation on from the original version, the added party piece being these 3 configurable rotary smart dials on the lower part of the centre console. Plus, a previous owner would notice that the gear selector has now been moved to a steering wheel stalk. There's also a higher quality feel with smart stitched use of various sustainable materials. There's plenty of screen tech, of course, this 10.25-inch virtual cockpit instrument display, and a vastly improved 13-inch central touchscreen, which now features AI-based ChatGPT software that extends the functionality of the LoRa voice assistant. The seats are brilliant, and there are plenty of Skoda's so-called simply clever cabin storage areas, plus the brand's signature touch, an umbrella built into the door. Okay, enough on what it's like at the front of this Kodiaq. Let's check out the rear, accessed through these wide opening doors. This second row bench features all the versatility you'd want from this kind of 7-seat SUV, with a split base that slides back and forth and a backrest that reclines for greater comfort on longer journeys. So what's it like in the third row? Well, that's assuming, of course, that you want space for up to 6 or 7 folk. Conventionally engined 5-seat only Kodiaq models are available at the bottom of the range if you don't. And with the IV PHEV drivetrain, you have to have the 5-seat format. But most Kodiaq customers want seats in the boot area. Gaining access to them at the very rear of the car requires you to pull up these latches on the second row seat shoulders. Back here, you're quickly reminded that this is an SUV, not an MPV, though Skoda reckons that improvements in headroom back here will make life more bearable at the very back for adults confined here on short journeys. Legroom, though, remains pretty restricted unless ahead of you you've got extremely accommodating middle row passengers who've slid their seats right forward. At the back, the hatch only operates electrically if you avoid base trim, but when it does so, it can operate via foot gesture control if you need it to. With the tailgate raised, a huge aperture is revealed, complete with a usefully low loading sill. Even better news if you've gone for a 7-seat variant like this one and have all 3 rows upright is that there's still space behind the rearmost seat backs for more than a couple of plastic shopping bags. 340 litres of capacity to be exact. 70 litres more than the previous generation model could offer. Most of the time, owners of 7-seat Kodiaq models are probably going to be using their cars with these rearmost seats folded into the floor, an action easy and simple to complete. In which case, there's up to 845 litres of space on offer with the middle row pushed right forward, 80 litres more than before. That figure rises to 910 litres with the 5-seat model. With the second row seat backs folded, there's up to 2,035 litres of space available in this 7-seat model. That's 30 litres more than before. It's 2,105 litres in the 5-seat model. So yes, it's all very practical. As we told you in our driving section, for customers of mainstream Kodiaqs seeking some sort of electrification, there's only a choice of either the brand's somewhat ineffectual 48-volt mild hybrid tech or the pricey, newly added option of the Kodiaq IV plug-in hybrid, which is why there's likely to continue to be a strong take-up for the powertrain that still probably suits this Skoda the best, the 2-litre TDI 150 PS diesel. With the provided Eco Drive mode selected, this is supposed to manage up to 53.2 mpg on the combined cycle, usefully better than the 1.5 E-Tech 150 PS model's 47.4 mpg best showing, and allowing for a range of around 650 miles. But as usual, the diesel lets itself down a little on CO2 emissions, a best of 139 grams per kilometre, compared to the mild hybrid petrol's 136 grams per kilometre best possible showing. For those who care rather less about electrification, there's the 2-litre TDI 193 PS 4x4 diesel model we're trying here, which returns up to 44.1 mpg and 168 grams per kilometre of CO2. For real frugality in a Kodiaq, you've to turn to the 1.5 TSI IV plug-in hybrid model, which, as we told you in our driving section, now has a much larger 25.7 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which is supposed to be able to offer driving range of up to 60 miles. As usual with PHEVs, that EV range skews the combined cycle fuel figure well into fantasy land. Here, it's quoted at up to 691.5 mpg. In reality, you probably wouldn't do much better than would be the case with a frugally driven diesel variant. And with the PHEV, you'd have to put up with a smaller fuel tank too. But the important thing is that the HMRC believes the IV model's quoted CO2 figure up to 9 grams per kilometre, so a low benefit-in-kind taxation rating is guaranteed, 5% in this case, compared with 32 to 37% for the conventionally engined models. The PHEV battery supports DC charging at up to 50 kilowatts, and that means a 10 to 80% battery top-up will take around 25 minutes, while the 11 kilowatt onboard charger allows full home battery replenishment to take as little as 2 hours. A more typical 7.4 kilowatt garage wall box would need around 4 hours. Today, the majority of all the cars Skoda sells are SUVs, a modern era reinvention of the brand that started with this Kodiaq. Nothing too radical has been done here to change this model's buying proposition. Nothing too radical was needed, yet this is still a different kind of Kodiaq, more spacious, better connected, and a little sharper to drive. It also gains the PHEV technology its predecessor strangely never got. Even so, if you didn't already want a Kodiaq before, you probably still won't want one now. But if this Czech family crossover takes your interest, then there are now even more reasons to feel satisfied with your choice.